RNC Chairman Reince Priebus called Trump today to congratulate him on his New York victory. That's a courtesy he extends to every primary winner. But importantly, Vlad, the two were not able to reconcile deep differences over RNC rules and delegate allocations or decide if there will even be one more presidential debate.
Major, Tuesday night, we saw what people are saying is the new Donald Trump. His speech was concise. He didn't go off topic too much. Wednesday morning, the Washington Post writes that the party leadership should be very afraid, saying this: "It's clear, at least for now, that Trump is listening to his new political advisors, chief among them convention manager Paul Manafort and National Field Director Rick Wiley." Trump's change in tone on Tuesday night was absolutely unmistakable to anyone who has paid even passing attention to his campaign to date. So, Major, do you see this change as a more presidential-looking Donald Trump?
Well, look, that's certainly what Paul Manafort and those around him are trying to create. Temperamentally well-suited to be a Republican nominee, temperamentally well-suited to be someone who could go into a general election campaign as a credible alternative to the likely Democratic nominee, Hillary Clinton, and most importantly of all, because this is the ultimate threshold any nominee of a major party has to cross, a future president of the United States. And there is a reshaping, very obvious and done in public, of Donald Trump's demeanor, the way he talks, and the length of time in which he talks. All of that was on display last night. I would only caution this. You can't take Donald Trump out of Donald Trump, and you and his campaign advisors know doing so might do just as much harm as the good you think you achieve by roughing or smoothing out some of his rough edges. So I think this is going to be an evolving process. Everyone was startled last night when Donald Trump didn't call Senator Ted Cruz of Texas Lying Ted and said, oh, he called him Senator Cruz. That's a monumental shift. Well, today, what did he call him? Lying Ted.
Lying Ted.
Okay, so one of these things we have to be careful about is overreading moments and pretending they represent some tectonic shift in the plates beneath any presidential campaign. Trump is evolving. That is a work in progress, and we should all stay tuned and measure things as they change, but not lie to ourselves that any one of these changes or any number of these changes is either permanent or the last change we're going to see, because that's simply not going to be the case.
Major, I want to ask you what you're hearing from your sources about this internal campaign memo to Trump staffers projecting that he's going to win 1,400 delegates. What's the tactic there?
To spin the unbelievable into the believable. I mean, let's be honest, 1,400 is an insanely large number. Talking to people close to the Trump campaign who described it as a bit rich, meaning less than credible. 1,400 is not a realistic goal for Donald Trump. Look, it's going to be a tough slog for him to get to 1,237. That's not going to be easy. New York makes it somewhat easier, and next Tuesday's primaries in the 5 states we've talked a lot about, Maryland, Delaware, Connecticut, Rhode Island, and Pennsylvania, will bring him closer because he'll probably gather at least 100 delegates out of the 172 available. But after that, May does not set up well for Trump, and he has to blow Ted Cruz out in California and New Jersey to get close to 1,237. So 1,400 is at the most distant mathematical edge of reality. But what the Trump campaign wants to do, to your strategic question, is create the impression, A, of inevitability, B, momentum, and C, hey, this bus is moving down the road. There are a few seats left. Get on the bus now. Convert yourself to a Trump supporter before it's too late. That's all part of what you see in a campaign infrastructure around Trump that's a little bit more sophisticated and a little bit more willing to, let us say, massage the truth a little bit in order to create a better psychological atmosphere for the candidate at the top.
In Hollywood, Florida for us. Thank you, Major.
You got it.